told you this. Democrat governors across the nation, they're laying the groundwork for a national mask mandate that will be enforced under a Biden presidency. And yesterday, we might have heard the truth slip out. Pennsylvania governor, he's outrageously bad, Tom Wolf, was caught on a hot mic with a fellow Democrat lawmaker admitting this about masks.
So Wendy, I'm going to take my mask off when I sneeze.
I know as well. I'm waiting so that we can do another political theory. So that it's on camera.
So that it's on camera. What a fraud. Remember Ralph Northam not wearing a mask in Virginia Beach? It's all political theater. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, also, whose state lost more lives to COVID than any other, actually had the gall to say this yesterday.
I put my head on the pillow at night saying I saved lives. That's how I sleep at night. And I know we have.
What a stand-up guy. The thousands of New Yorkers who lost loved ones in nursing homes, I think they have a little different opinion, don't you think? Joining me now is Dr. Ramin Osqui, cardiologist extraordinaire and CEO of Foxhall Cardiology. Dr. Osqui, I want to start with Governor Wolf. He quite literally let his mask slip, did he not? It's political theater.
Well, let's be candid. He obviously knows, as we do, the literature on masks. And since 1981, we've known that masks really don't stop transmission. They showed that at the University of Edinburgh in their surgical suites. Subsequently, in May of this year, the CDC published their guidance on non-pharmacologic measures for influenza-like illnesses. They quote 14 randomized controlled studies, all of which show that masks do nothing to limit that transmission. They sound like they know the literature as well as you and I do. And they're rather snarky about it, unfortunately.
And of course, Joe Biden last night threw that out there saying, oh, well, we could save 100,000 lives if everyone just masked up and socially distanced between now and forever. But last night, Dr. Osqui, Biden also blamed Trump for all of the country's COVID deaths. Watch.
The 200,000 people that have died on his watch, 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Well,
I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing.
He laid it all out. And what's the difference between 200 million and 20,000, Dr. Osqui, after all?
You know, the experts told us in March and April that we'd have 2 million deaths. COVID was a war. Imagine you're a general and you tell the president, we're going to have 2 million soldiers who are going to die. But in fact, after the war is over, it's only 250,000. That general's getting a ticker tape parade. President Trump was told 2.2 million Americans were going to die, even if he did the lockdown. And where we're standing now, it's going to be 1/10 of that. I don't understand where Vice President Biden gets his figures, but to me that looks like a huge victory for the president and, more importantly, for this country.
Yeah, it's a horrible tragedy, but one that had to be dealt with, and he dealt with it with all the information he had and preserving our freedom, which is the most important thing in the end. And last week, Dr. Osqui, Senator Rand Paul, he argued, as many others have, that the virus has slowed in parts of the country because of T-cell immunity. But here's how Dr. Fauci responded.
New York, it's about 22%. If you believe 22% is herd immunity, I believe you're alone in that.
And in the New York Times reported that Fauci said in a later interview that he knew of no scientific evidence that the common cold-derived T-cells protect against infection with COVID. Dr. Osqui, that's T-cell immunity. Apparently he doesn't read any of the medical literature that you and I and the medicine cabinet have been talking about on air for months now. Can you explain any of this? What does this mean? Why is he saying this?
I think there are two facets. First of all, there is significant literature that shows that there's T-cell immunity, not just to COVID, but cross-immunity with other common coronaviruses. In fact, very importantly, Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, if you read their preprint, they very specifically test for T-cell immunity. And that's one of the reasons why it's probably one of the leading vaccines. But I think Dr. Fauci has a lot more to answer for. As you're aware, Laura, gain-of-function research was shut down in the United States in 2014. And immediately Dr. Fauci's group at the NIH transferred that research to the Wuhan lab. Interestingly, weeks before President Trump was sworn into office, that moratorium on research that was considered too dangerous to do in the United States was lifted, and that research was brought back to the United States. There's a very good blog, scientific blog called Heraclitus on COVID-19.com that has a very nice review of this.
All right, we'll tweet that out. Dr. Osprey, sorry to cut you off, but
Sorry, no
fascinating
problem.
on T cells and all the rest. Up next, the last bite.